Good evening. The Who's today were on at Rosehill. It was Rosehill Guineas Day. We had the Galaxy on as well, and also 2 heats for the 2-year-olds for the slipper next week. We saw a really good performance in the Galaxy. Anyway, we'll get to that later on. This first race here today, the flux, they said there was 103.6 on the screen. There was a little bit less, maybe only just over 100 in the marketplace, about 101 at the top odds. And the captains got off to a good result here in the first race. Charmonte drew the outside alley, field of 14, had barrier 14, and ridden by jovial Josh Parr. He flew the lids, and he came straight across, and he found the bunny on from the outside alley to find the fence and lead all the way. Nothing wrong with the fence all day, although there were some leaders that got off into the middle of the track. But as I say, it led all the way tight on the fence. I suppose there could have been, well, especially one hard luck story, and that was the favourite. That was the favourite in this race. A hard tester. It was badly held up at one stage. Well, twice it copped a very heavy bump before the turn, and also held up in the straight with clear running. I've got no doubt that hard tester would have got the cash. When they crossed the line, there was very little between the first 8 runners. I suppose, as I say, repeating myself, hard tester with clear running wins the race. She's a fox. She pulled up Mindly Lame. She was very easy in the betting when she went from $4.60 out to $6.50 back into 6. Hard tester went up $4.60, got out to $5.50, but was back very late. Only started $5.60, and Ichikara, who got trapped 3 wide in the run, it was $5.50 out to $6.50, back into $5.50, very well backed as well. And there was good money for plenty of other runners in this race. The winner, as I say, even 50 to 1, $51 was taken, was 31 out to 51, back into 41 the winner, Charmonte. And I suppose you could have been a bit stiff to run into the 50s, but it was taken on the rails at one stage of the betting. The second horse, Brave Soul, it was very well backed. Like a fool, I gave $13. It only started $8.50. Extremely well backed, and that was about all you would say in that race. The second race on the flux screen, it only said 99.7, and just a little bit less in the marketplace. And I must admit, I thought this Avery Julian's was a good risk, like a fool, and my hopes of getting it beat were dampened at the barrier when Tremek kicked out and got one of its legs over the barrier and suffered some wounds to its legs and was a scratching. I was of the opinion that with Tremek in the race, which is very one-paced and just keeps on going, there would have been, I thought it would have been up near the lead, and there would have been a bit of pressure in this race. But when it came out, it went straight to the lead. Pelicano, who went very ordinary, it ran second last, beaten a long way. The rider saying that he wasn't too sure the 2400 suited it. It was a bit of a distanced out, and Julian's just sat on its outside, and they strolled along up front until Dame Claire, who was on its wrong leg for a Melbourne visitor, was on its wrong leg for most of the journey and wanted to hang out on its rider, and he took off at about the 1,000 metres, went up, but soon dropped off. As he went up, he went back as quick as he got there. He finished up running last. He didn't test that runner out to the line, and he got beat a long way. And when they turned for home, of course, the pumper, the 3 kilos off for the pumper on Julian's, he was able to get past Pelicano very easily and set up a winning break, very similar to what Nash did on this runner last week. He didn't get that far away as Nash did last week, but enough to hold on and win by about a length and a quarter. Coming from second last, poking through the middle, was Permit, who was very easy in the betting, went from $4.40 out to $6.50, whereas the favourite Julian's, it was reached for by the captains. We put it up a $2.80 chance and we got it out to $3.50, plenty of it, but it only started $2.70, very hard to get, and unfortunately I stood it for a good bit of section and paid the penalty. Race 3, they said there was 101.4 on the screen, and there was about, it was close, but a little bit less in the marketplace, a couple less, so we gave under the 100 for the fillies, for the 2-year-old fillies, and this race was won by Scandiva, who was very well backed. Run this race a few times and you would get a few different results. It went straight to the lead, Brilliant Bisque, who was very well backed from $10 into $8.50, and sitting on its outside was the winner, Scandiva, and they never went that hard. One runner got trapped wide in the run, and that was Madam Fly, the $151 chance, and the others all raced in pairs more or less, and when they turned for home, Scandiva was able to get past Brilliant Bisque fairly easily, and coming from third last was the one of the rank outsiders, the second, it was a $51 chance into $41, Shahad. It made up a lot of ground down the outside to be only beaten around about a long neck, and sitting in fourth place and running third was Major Conquest, who was wide at Gosford at its first run, and it stuck on all right. And coming from second last along the fence was Vocalised after copping a check in the run and also being held up. It only failed. That would have been only about 3/4 of a length or maybe a length away from the winner. So as I say, run this race over again and I think you'd get a few different results. Grey filly, the filly that came down from Queensland, having a second run for Gay. It missed the kick by 5 lengths. It's going for spell now. It'll have to trial next time before it starts. Sense of Might, the rider thought there was something wrong with its action, and there were a few other runners that had little bits of bad luck stories in the run. But as I say, taking nothing away from the winner, but run this race again and you would get a few different results. The winner, it was at $9 into $7, by the way, Scandiva, very, very well backed. And the top one, a Sale, Craig Williams got off it and he wasn't happy with its action, and it's now going for a spell. Race 4, well, you think this wasn't a fair income poleaxe. Well, the captains here, we called for the stretcher. This favourite Sidestep, it was one of the best back favourites for a long time in Sydney. $3.40 given on the fence, plenty of $3.30 and $3.20. It did start $2.15, hard to get. When the market went up, we put them up $6 for Ezra. It got out to $9. Good Job Bro put up $6. It got out to $9, taken towards the finish. Dothraki, it was the first runner backed. It went straight to the fence with the hood on today. $5 into $4 at one stage, but it got back out to start $5 on my board when they jumped. I think it would have been returned shorter. Now this favourite, Sidestep, we put it up a $3 chance. Of course, I think I might have pointed out to you last start when the gates opened, ridden by Corey Brown, and it stumbled and Corey was dislodged. This runner, it went around and luckily wasn't harmed, but its run, its only start was in the Black Opal, and as I say, it sat outside the lead that day, close to the fence, wasn't the place to be. And Criterion, who won the race where this runner lost its rider last start. I thought their runs were nearly equal at even though Criterion came wide. It was in the better section of the ground at Canberra, and their runs were a lot closer than they looked, and it proved it today. And I'd say that a lot of other people thought exactly what I thought, because after opening up $3, we got out to $3.40 reach for. It was taken the 340, the 330, the 320, the 310, the $3, the 290. Now, how much at 280? But how much at all the other odds? How much at 270, 260, 250? Now, how much at the 240 and the 230 and the 225? It was a plonk. And going straight to the lead, well, I'll finish off the fluctuations. Diamond Flak Jacket went from $15 to out to 18. Diamond Oasis went from $5 out to $8. Raise No Doubt 40 out to 70. 101 all the way through Betting Senior Council. Drago went from 41 out to 61, and the other Cummings stablemate one step beyond 30 out to 61. And going straight to the lead was Dothraki, sitting on us outside. Good job, bro. Straight behind them on the fence, Diamond Oasis, and in the 1-1 was the winner. Sidestep. Took a while to wind up down the straight. Went out after the leader, who had got clear Dothraki, but the winner was far too good, as the betting suggested, and it won by 1.5, and it was over 3 lengths to the third horse, Fureza, who was on the back of the favourite all the way. They all more or less had their chance in that race, or they did have their chance. Every runner had his chance. The winner was too good. Race 5, and here there was about 106.4 on the screen, and it was all right. This at top odds, we've got about 5%. Very, very rare we see 5% in Sydney of a Saturday. And this race was won by Alinia Tile, who proved that this run at Warwick Farm was no fluke. It made up a lot of ground. It came from 4th last. Coming from midfield, always sitting one off the fence, was a Pinjal, and coming from 2nd last, getting onto the back more or less of the winner, was the third horse, who was also very well back, Dolly Dolly, from 17, or it was back from $18 Dolly Dolly into about a $13 chance, about 12 to 1. And they got right away from the other runners in this race. There was only about a neck or a head between first and second, about a length, 3/4 of a length to the third horse. The others, more or less, were all having their chance. Never forget, well, it has hope. It had its chance. Crafty Earner, it sat directly behind the leader on the fence. Unfortunately, it pulled up with the thumps. It was a bit flat-footed, but it was apprentices couldn't claim in this race, and of course, an apprentice was aboard this runner, which maybe wasn't the, but he's the stable rider for Ronnie Quinton, and Ronnie sticks fat. It pulled up with the thumb, so I suppose there is its excuse. There's no excuse whatsoever for fib relation. It sat in the 1-1 position outside Crafty Earner, and it finished up holding on to run 4th, but got beat a long way. And all of the others had their chance. The first 3 runners in this race, they, as it turned out, they had plenty on the others. The winner, Alinia Tide, we put it up about an $8 chance, 7 to 1, got out to $9 and was backed into about 8, back out to $8.50, hard to get towards the finish. As I say, now a Pinjal, the second horse, it was always fairly firm in the mark. We put it up safely about a 15 to 2 pop, $8.50, and it got out to $9, but always around that mark. And the third horse, as I said, Dolly Dolly, it was extremely well back from about $18 into um, after opening 16, got out to 18, back into about a 13, a 12 to 1 chance. Um, and that they repeating myself, had, as it turned out, plenty on the others, if you can forgive Crafty Earner for pulling up with the thumbs. Race 6, they said there was 107.3 on the screen, about 101, maybe a little bit more in the marketplace. And this was the Guineas, and it wasn't, this was a very, very easy win. I asked someone after the race who looks at the horses. Um, my men said it looked fine, but it had sweated up a little bit. But by the same token, not as badly as it looked when I saw it in the watching it on the screen live in the race. It seemed to have got a little bit wet around the breastplate in the front, and it still treated the other runners with contempt. It's a done deal. It went up $1.30, but quickly didn't appear on the flux screen, but there was quite a bit of $1.40 available early in betting, which was laid on, and at one stage the $1.30 started to disappear, but it started at $1.35, fairly hard to get when they jumped. Tatra, it went from $9 out to 14. Haverston, who was on its wrong leg, was on its Melbourne leg all the way apparently in the run. It went from $8 out to 11. Sacred Falls, back very, very late. It went from 8 out to 11, back into $10 or taken at the finish. Solomon was 60 out to 80. Twisted Emotions, $26 all the way through betting. Kingdom's Always 201, and Blood Buzz Ohio, it was 200 out to 500. And this favourite, there was a bit of a buffeting match taken between a few runners involving the favourite when they were jostling for positions coming up to the first turn. But then they sorted out their posies, and they raced in pairs more or less, with the favourite sitting back in second last position, sitting back behind it was Solomon. And when they got to the 1,000 metres, or about the 800, James McDonald clicked this runner up, and a lovely 3-year-old it is too. He took off very quickly, and he came that quick when they got to the turn. He rolled up out wide to the leaders, and all of a sudden he realised, oh, I've got you covered straight away. He sat up for a couple of strides and then dug it up again, and it just zoomed away, and it looked to have won by around about 4 lengths or a little bit further. The 5 to 2 on, or even the 11 to 4 on, or the 3 to 1 on is easy now, but it won like a what price? I haven't really priced them there, but would you lay, if the bookies, if you run that race again, it'd have to go up a 10 to 1 on chance, wouldn't it? Now, race 7, the Galaxy, well, wasn't there a performance here? Of course, when they turned for home, and not long after, the head stipe, Mr. Murray, he rang the fire brigade. He said, quick, there's a bushfire here at Rosehill. The tracks, there's a runner here called Bell Sprinter. It's gone that quick. It set the place on fire. It just took off and went like a jet. It went that fast. It kicked its back hooves off. They went flying in the air. It would have won. It would have won towing the others. When the gates opened, this runner which it has done before. It came out very awkwardly, and when they hit the ground and only gone say 30 metres, it was 2 lengths behind them. But then he quickly crossed back behind the field. Clever Kevin McAvoy, what a rider he is! Very good rider, Kevin. Everyone bags him. I know what you'll do bagging him. He's a world-class rider, Kevin. Karen, I should say. And he got it into. He passed a runner after they'd gone a couple of furlongs, and he was in second last position. And when they turned for home, he just eased off heels. Up front was leading was the 3-year-old Snitzerland. Sitting on its outside was Pampalone, and trapped 3 wide was Tiger Tease from the outside alley. And he came that quick. He gave these runners windburn. "Call the fire brigade, Murray," he said. "The track's ablaze." It just came down the outside. He was laughing to himself when they hit the post. Kieran, uh, it, uh, it trotted him, and it was they didn't miss it in a betting ring. It was $18, $18 into $11 taken. Started $10. This runner, it was $17. Opened up a $15, $16 chance. Quickly got out to $18, 17 to 1. Funny odds, but then was backed. Uh, they took the 18 to 17 to 16 to 15 to 14, and the 14 sat there for a while, and then there was the third at least wave for it, and into $12, and then there was the next wave at the $12, and then right towards the finish, if you had $11 up, you laid it at the $11, and it started $10 Bell Sprinter, and won like a fair income 2 to 1 on chance. Sounds ridiculous, but that's that's how it appeared. Stitzerland, well, he did use a bit of petrol to get to the lead. Sea Siren tried to hunt up early in the piece to hold the fence, but couldn't. Finish up sitting in behind them. Sea Siren pulled up with the thumps, as did Crafty Earner. The thumps are about at the moment, very catching, and thumps are something to do with your heart, a heart murmur sort of thing. John O'Shea said that it was ridden a bit too close, and he intends to ride it back with cover, or back a bit quieter next time Sea Siren starts. And as I say, Tiger T's got trapped wide from its wide alley. It had the extreme outside, but it wouldn't have mattered what happened here. The winner was far too good. The 3-year-old Switzerland held on for second, and coming from back in the field was decision time. Or no, it wasn't back in the field. It was running about. It was sitting in about 6th position on the back of Tiger Tease, and it finished up running 3rd, and making up a bit of ground along the inside was Dystopia, who copped a bit of a check at the start. The betting in this race, Sea Siren, I found it hard to lay towards the finish. I thought I might have been able to catch it, and I wound it off at the vital stage of the betting. It finished up starting $8 on my board. You couldn't give it away at the finish, but at one stage they'd kill you for $7. But it did start 8 on my board after opening up $5. Decision time went from 16 out to 19, back into 18. Temple of Doom was 30 out to 71. Now Snitzerland, we put it up a $3 chance, 2 to 1 the field. It was quickly reached for by captains out to $3.50. And at one stage, I got a bucketful out of it at $3.20 out of this runner. They stopped me at $3.20. I had to wind it off. And then all of a sudden, when a few other runners were backed in this race, it got to, believe it or not, out to as much as $4.20. It got it was 2s to 5 to 2 to $3.10, back to out to 13 to 4, but did only start $3.70. They took the $4.20 and the $4 and even the $3.80 towards the end of betting. The next runner was Atomic Force. It was 50 out to 81. Bell Sprinter, as I've already said, is $18 into $10. How Much You Love Me? It started $9.50, but they took $10 and $11 at one stage for whatever you wanted. Tiger Tease, very well back from $15 into $10. Title, 30 out to 61. Number 11, Golden Archer. It was labelled at $26. I at least laid $5,000 to $2,000 at one stage, plus a lot of other bets. Number 12, Pampalone, They killed you for $10, and I laid it at $9.50 for plenty of section. Started $8.50. I laid it at $9 and started $9. The next runner was Dystopia. They took $26 into 18 at one stage. It started 21. The runner that was scratched the barrier unpretentious, they took $13. It started 12, very hard to get. And Isabella Snowflake, they killed you for $26 at one stage. It started $21, if not 26. The winner extremely well backed, and as it turned out, it wasn't a contest. Race 8, they said there was 108.5 on the screen, and again, positive figures, 105 about in the marketplace. But the winner, Havana Ray, extremely well backed, $9. They returned at $6, 5 to 1. I think that's a little bit hard. I was $7 when they jumped, and finding it a bit hard to load that price. But so it started at least 1 point longer, but it was extremely well backed, and I laid it very, very well at $8.50. These were the flux in this race very quickly. The Queen's horse, Carlton House, having its first start here for Gay, it's now going. It was a bit disappointing, pulled up a bit lame, and now is going for a spell, and we'll have to trial before it starts. It opened up $5.50, was reached for, got to $6, but it only started $4.20, hard to get. Lamasery was 17 to 21. Viola Ichi was 26 out to 41, layable, back into 31. Monton, well back, $12 into $10, hard to get. Sky Rush, they took 17 at one stage, but it started that price. Triple Elegance, who they said they were going to ride closer today, very well backed, laid at $26. Centennial Park, a bit hard to late, 21 out to 31. Rainbow Styling was 100 out to 301. Riva de Lago, a little bit hard to lay, $9 out to 13. Havana Ray, very well back, $9 into $7. Light in the Night, bit hard to lay towards the end, 13 to 2 chance out to $9.50 Light in the Night. Number 12, Stout Hearted, $21 layable, although I never wound it off, got something out, but would have liked to have got more. Number 13, Willie Jimmy, always $31. Number 14 was beaten up. They took $21 about it. The next runner, 15, which was Famous Seamus, a bit hard to lay, $9 out to $11. Number 16 was Strike the Stars, 17 out to 18 only. Mules Creek was 100 out to 151, and the bottom one was back as soon as the market went up, 50 into 31, but started 41. Screen Machine. It went straight to the lead, as it was always going to be near Havana Ray. Monton, who was always going to be near the lead, who drew on us outside, it came across with it, sat outside. Unfortunately for Christian Reith, he came in a little bit and caused a bit of interference to a couple of runners, and he's having a short holiday. He'll most probably go to Acapulco for a week or so. The next runner, it sat third in behind them, Sky Rush. I think it's one of the runners who he caused a bit of interference to. Sitting in fourth position was Famous Seamus, getting a good run. Trapped wide in the run was Triple Elegance, and in about 6th or 7th position turned out to be the second horse, Riva de Lago, who made up plenty of ground but was never ever going to win. Beaten about a length and 3/4. It ran second. Monton held on for third, and sitting in about, or just inside, or just in front of Riva de Lago, got a little bit of a check in the run, was Light in the Night. It finished up running fourth in the race. The winner, it found the lead and it found the line. When they turned for home, it got 3 or 4 horses off the fence, raced down the middle of the track, and kept on fighting Havana Ray. Very underestimated Nettie, this horse, as it's turned out, and it held on very, very well, and it was very, very well backed. The last race came along, and they said there was a fat 110.1 on the screen for the robots, but in the marketplace there was about 9 less, only about 101 we got out in the marketplace. There wasn't a big crowd there today at Rosehill by any means. for a Guineas Day. It was very disappointing, really. But of course, if you want to not get your shoes treading on or be buffeted around by the yahoos and whatever, the best place to be where the most space is, of course, is in the betting ring. That's where the least people are at Rosehill. The grandstands are chock-a-block full, aren't they? That's where the robots are. It's all upside down, this betting situation. Anyway, this last race, these were the flux. Miss Stella Bell went from $7 out to 10 back into 7.50. Soft Sand, a bit hard to lay, $4.60 to 6.50 back into 6. Altair, very well backed, $8 into $6. Arenosa, now it opened up $8. Now at one stage it was $8 into $7, but have I got the right runner here? Altair was $8 into $6. Yes, the winner. Now, it opened up $8.50, Arenosa. It was taken into $8. Hard to get at one start. No, there was plenty of $8, but every time bookies went the $8.50 at one stage of betting, it was taken. But then towards the end of betting, you could have $9, and there were no takers, and it was a good win. Catkins, it opened up $5, got out to $6, but only started 5. Very disappointing, the 3-year-old filly. She had every possible chance from barrier 2. Emotional Circus only got to $13 very late in betting, 10 to 13. Aerobatics very well backed from 41 into about 26. Ever the Same was 21 out of 26. Choice Words, I gave 21. It started $19, 17 out to 21 back into 19. Brightest, 50 out to 101. Shamar Wind, now it was $6 out to $7, $8 back into 7 or even 6.50. But then all of a sudden towards the finish, I'd laid it for a good bit of section, but then at the finish, I was offering as much as $8 about Shamar Wind again, and there were no takers towards the end of betting. And New Beginning was 30 out to 41 late, and it made up plenty of ground and was held up. It had to switch inside runners. Because it switched inside runners, its run was more or less emphasised more than it was checked. That's what happens when runners go back inside runners like that. But anyway, this race was won by Arenosa. It gave the brilliant Brendan Abdallah a very easy win. He sat back in about 4th, 5th last position, and when he said, "We're going here, coming to the turn," just like it did at Warwick Farm and like it has done before, this grey, it just sprouted wings and it just ran up to them very, very quickly, and it was all over when it raced up to the leaders. It was going much better than them. It came from, it was in front of it, the second horse, Shamal Wind. It held on for second, and the runner sitting outside the lead, Miss Stella Bell, she had every possible chance. Leading in the race was Altair, who came across and found the bunny. Miss Stella Bell was outside. Miss Stella Bell finished up running third, and Altair held on for fourth, but the winner was far, far too good. That was about the meeting. We've got the meeting on Monday at Randwick. Apparently there are still are some tickets for sale. There are 500 tickets for sale to the general public at the gate when they open up. Plus there are 2,000 members. It's going to be interesting to see what the situation is at Monday. Hope you had some luck today. Good evening.